All right, good evening, everybody. It is officially time to start. We are going to get things rolling. I'm already reading some of the Q&A in here, interacting with a couple of you prior to. So if you guys are attending in the GoToWebinar side of things, I can see all the questions that you may have, all the comments. I like it. I can usually walk, talk, and read at the same time. So I'll give you a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing tonight. Again, this is TheoTrade Revolutionary Indicator. So obviously my name is Don Kaufman. I'm going to be talking to you about really two specific indicators this evening. Question that everybody always has is, number one, if you were looking, you should see my slide that says Revolutionary Indicators. Clearly it is on the screen right now. So if you're looking to GoToWebinar, it should say just that. You can probably see my mouse moving around as well. Other than that, is this session going to be recorded? Of course, everything's recorded, archived. We will have this up pretty much directly following the sessions. We get them archived, you know, no cut and paste. We just get them up there immediately because we're recording it in real time. Let me give you guys, first and foremost, a little bit of a disclosure. We are not financial advisors or broker-dealer. The reason I throw that out there is because for the previous, 15 years of my career, I was both a financial advisor and a broker-dealer. In fact, I'll talk a little bit about my background right here, right now, because there's a lot of you that are not necessarily familiar either with, number one, TheoTrade, or number two, myself. Again, my name is Don Kaufman, co-founder here at TheoTrade. I spent the previous portion of my career, well, I'll give you guys from the beginning. In the late 90s, I started trading in Chicago. I met a group of individuals that started a company called thinkorswim. I joined them very, very early on. I was officially, I think, number 12 on the crew there. So I went through all of thinkorswim from the inception or the first trading application, you know, build number one, all the way through taking the company public, being acquired eventually by TD Ameritrade. So I've got about 16 years of thinkorswim platform experience, but I grew up around traders, and I'll discuss that a little bit too. Traders in Chicago, predominantly quantitative traders. That's kind of a buzzword these days. So I've done, you know, the whole CNBC tour over there. It's just, again, you know, me against the, you know, the primary shark, Kevin O'Leary. Again, you know, trading, it's not about being right or wrong, but when you're right and he's wrong, kind of, you know, got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about that one. I like it. Anyway, yeah, when they had me on there last year, Apple was almost peaking out, so I was a big short in Apple at the time. I am not any longer in that position. So let's get to it tonight, and let's talk a little bit about, you know, the Quant Geeks talks technicals. So anyone that's been to presentations that I've done, and I want to give you guys a little bit of background, okay, kind of on TheoTrade and so forth. If you've been to any presentation I've done over the years, whether it was way back, again, I started doing presentations for thinkorswim in 2001 at the ripe old age of 23 years old. I started doing presentations. By the way, I am now, I'm 40. It's all over now. I'm no longer under warranty. I think when you hit 40, your warranty is over. Stuff starts falling off. It's not that horrible. But I'll tell you what, I had a full head of hair. It was all the right color. And then I had children about like 6 years ago. I think that's where it started going downhill. With that, I have really built my trading career around being known as a quant. I grew up around quantitative traders. So I am kind of a self-proclaimed numbers geek, or again, what we commonly refer to as a quant. Quants are also well known to be anti-chartites. Okay, that one I just kind of made up. An anti-chartite, somebody that doesn't exactly, you know, love charts. I don't look at a tremendous number of charts. Ooh, what is the irony of an anti-chartite? Okay, and again, that's I stole that, I think, from Seinfeld. Right? There was an anti-dentite. He was anti-dentist. I call myself the anti-chartite. I've really not built my trading career a tremendous amount around charts. But at the same time, I think it's the most effective. I'm probably one of the most effective people to bring to you a number of indicators, and that's exactly why I'm doing this tonight, is to bring to you indicators that speak to not only market technicians, but specifically to quants as well, because the indicators I'm going to show you, there's statistical significance behind them. So why charts? Why now? Again, 15 years I spent at thinkorswim and TD Ameritrade, and for 15 years, you know, I've really been subjected to, it's just constant bombardment from market technicians. Everybody asks for more studies and more charts. So back in the day when thinkorswim was being built, you know, we'd get 15, 20 emails a day. Hey, can you guys add this? Can you add the RSI? Can you add this? All right. And finally, I've come around to the conclusion, I'm not anti-technical indicators. Not at all. If it can help you execute a trade or make a decision, then TheoTrade, we support it 100%. Okay, I am in, and I recognize this, I'm in the minority in terms of looking at charts on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Furthermore, we are adding to the TheoTrade team a number of market technicians of the absolute highest caliber. All have been vetted, okay, and none are here to sell anything. And this is like a critical thing that I want to discuss over here. One of the reasons that you're going to see us coming on the scene and passing around a lot of different indicators, okay? You know, there's a tremendous, what is there, 400 different indicators on the trading application. In fact, so many indicators, so little time. There are over 400 different technical indicators on the thinkorswim trading application. Okay, and again, this is, yeah, I'm going to use the thinkorswim platform tonight, and I'm actually going to talk about that. Additionally, clientele of thinkorswim can build and share their own indicators via ThinkScript. ThinkScript is the proprietary thinkorswim language. Okay, the TheoTrade war cry, share your scripts. You got scripts, share them with us, share them with everybody. Okay, there is no sacred cow in this business. There's absolutely no sacred cow in this business. If you got them, share them. And I feel so incredibly strongly about that because we're not here to make a business surrounding selling indicators. We're here to try to give you guys the best decision-making tools that you can possibly have so that you can execute viable trades around. If you're not making money, we're not doing well either. So people, of course, are going to ask, well, why thinkorswim? Because, you know, and how do we actually benefit from this? And I have no problem with that whatsoever. We open up accounts for TD Ameritrade. If we open up accounts for TD Ameritrade, benefits TheoTrade, you in turn get all of your studies for free. There's no more, I mean, listen, we have people that write ThinkScript. Moreover, we actually have a ton of clients that are really in depth in ThinkScript and are sharing a number of excellent studies with us. So again, this is the TheoTrade technical analysis team. So again, I'm a little bit more of the quantitative trader in here, but just to introduce you to the traders that really vetted these indicators. Doc Severson, 21 years of experience. Jeffrey Bierman. So we just added Jeff to the fold within the last 2 weeks. For those of you who do not know Jeff Bierman, Jeff worked with me at thinkorswim TD Ameritrade. We worked together for 7 years, 3.5 years. We actually ran a program together. Steve Miller, many of you may or may not know Steve Miller. I think he trumps us all in terms of experience. 42 years of trading experience, both on the floor and off the floor. Steve Miller is extremely well known in the industry. He's our cyclical analysis kind of expert here. Last but definitely not least, Tony Rago, 23 years of trading experience. He's our futures, intraday futures kind of resident expert over there. But what we've ultimately done, again, stack the deck in terms of really market technicians that are going to help you guys obviously understand these tools. So right before I get into some of the indicators, which we're about to here momentarily, one of my sayings is, greed is good, free is better. No one should be charging, okay, for technical studies. If they are, it's because their business is not about making you successful in trading. It's about them selling you indicators. So we're setting out now to provide you the latest, the most effective indicators, no pitch, no catch, no cost, save your money for trading. And that's, again, what we've really set out to do. Again, the TheoTrade team, and our team vets the indicators for you. The TheoTrade team has quietly been vetting a number of indicators. We have the time, the ability, all right, to fully vet each and every one of these indicators. We talk about vetting indicators. Again, when we present an indicator, when I say, oh, this thing's been fully vetted, it means not only are we trading on it, we have statistical analysis based on those particular indicators. So we're going to introduce the first of many indicators here at TheoTrade. And again, you know, what's the irony of the Quant Geek that doesn't look at a lot of charts really providing you these indicators? Well, because this one, the guys at the on the team here, they felt strongly enough about, and they said, Don, you know, you should really look at this thing. So I spent some time, and I'm going to describe it to you right now. So for those of you that don't have the indicator, listen, I'm going to explain all of that. But before I do this, okay, I'm going to explain to you, number one, how to load different studies and indicators into thinkorswim. Number two, I want you guys to be fully capable of sharing any thinkorswim study. Again, there's no sacred cow. Everybody goes, it's proprietary. I got news for you. If you look at thinkorswim and read some of the guidelines of thinkorswim, it ultimately says if you write in their code, it belongs to them. So no problem whatsoever. Share everything you possibly can, and I'm all about sharing different indicators. What we are talking about this evening is going to be an RSI, okay? I'm going to butcher the name over here, Laguerre, okay? The RSI Laguerre, time with fractal energy. So ultimately, what this happens to be is it's an RSI, and almost everybody knows relative strength, made very famous, okay, by none other than Wells Wilder. And I'm actually going to show a little bit about just a general RSI, but this particular RSI has been tweaked with a fairly complex, would be an understatement, but the Laguerre polynomials have been used in this, and I have to tell you, before doing this presentation, I spent countless hours looking at Laguerre polynomials, and it's wildly complicated, and I'm a numbers geek. It's wildly complicated, again, with the fractal energy thrown in there. So we're going to go to the charts here momentarily, but what I want you to see is really the RSI, okay, versus the fractal energy. I'm going to explain this in quite some detail when I do go over to the trading application here momentarily. So, all right, somebody said great pronunciation. I didn't butcher it. I feel better. I feel much better over there. Again, let's move forward to the trading application. So I'm going to bring up thinkorswim, and I just happen to have Apple on here, and you know my chart's a total mess. I did this intentionally. I wanted you to see, get a little bit of a feel. I've blown up the fonts on here. Everything's all puffed up in terms of fonts. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to be very definitive of each step that I go through. I'm going to make sure everybody kind of gets it. Then we're going to talk about the indicator itself, of how to best utilize this particular indicator. And it is beyond an indicator. So the RSI Laguerre is more than just an indicator. It's actually more of a trading system, and that's something that that we're going to cover here momentarily. Now, before I go any further, okay, before I go any further, let's assume you do not even have this indicator on your trading application. Blank the screen, all right? You don't have the indicator. How do I get indicators in and out of the thinkorswim platform? Okay, is first and foremost. And again, if you do not have a thinkorswim account, all right, so sorry, somebody just chatted in. They're like, you did butcher it. It's lol, la here. Yeah, nah, it's French. I can't do it. Okay, freedom fries. Let's just call it the freedom fries, the RSI freedom fries. You like that one? I love it. Thank you for correcting me over there. I butchered it. I knew I'd butcher it. So let me go back and show you how to load indicators in here. And this might be kind of rudimentary for some of you. It's all right. I'm telling you, I'm going to show you the most effective ways, though, to do this. Within the chat room, okay, within the chat room, we actually threw, okay, and I'm actually pulling it up there, we threw your indicator in there. So I don't know if you can actually even see that. That's okay. We threw the indicator in the chat room down below. It would be a tos.mx link. I'm going to show you what one looks like. Okay, so I'm actually going to throw the indicator back up here. All right. I am going to go to the indicator itself. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to go over here, share this study. And I'm going to create a link for sharing. Now, we already have a link in the chat room ready for you, but I want to show you how this is done. If I wanted to share this, I just simply hit copy. Now this link is copied. I close this up. Now, once you have the link copied, all right, once you have that, by the way, yes, Laguerre means war. I like it even better. It's the war indicator. You can call it whatever you want. Once you have the link copied, again, you do not click on the link. You want to copy the link. So once we've actually gone ahead and copied the link, watch where I'm going to go. On the thinkorswim trading application, again, blank the whole screen over here. On the trading application, go under setup. Go to open shared item. This is why you do not click on the link, because if you click on the link, it takes you to a website, yada, yada, yada. It's brutal. Open shared item. Okay. Once you open the shared item, you got to read through this because you can't just right click and try to paste it in there. You have to hit Control V. Hit Control V, then hit Preview. All right. A ThinkScript study has been shared, okay, on August 30th by Don Kaufman. All right. Click Open to import the shared item into thinkorswim. So I can hit Open. Now, if I hit Open, another box is going to appear. Okay, the ThinkScript study has been saved from Don Kaufman on August 30th. You will want to hit rename. Otherwise, it's just going to be saved as from Don Kaufman on August 30th. That's not incredibly helpful, is it? You want to rename it. And when you rename it, okay, you can call it what it does, you know, whatever it does it for you, but you can call it RSI, okay, you know, RSI War. I like that one. We'll call it the RSI War. Then just hit OK. Now, after you've done that, close all this up, after you've actually done that, where is this indicator? Well, you can go right up here on your charts, the little beaker. Beaker, 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 beaker. When you go to the beaker, and that's really what it is, a flask or a beaker, it's an edit studies. Every study in the trading application comes up. So type in like RSI, and you're going to see however you saved it. There's an RSI crossover, there's a slower RSI, but here's the RSI Laguerre. I'm butchering it. I love it. Anyway, it's here it is. Double click on it. It'll load it to the lower. Hit apply. Hit OK. Okay. This is how you load indicators into the trading application. So now you have the step-by-step methodology. I'm going to do it once again. If you want to save a whole chart setup, let's say that I have some like really cool chart setup, okay, like this TheoTrade, you know, projection. Here's an entire chart setup. Now you already have the link to this. There's a button up here. You just hit share. And what's cool about this is when you share the whole thing, when I share the whole thing, that's actually going to share, okay, yes, share everything on the chart, every single thing. If you drew on the chart, whatever you're drawing on the chart, you know, different studies, if you have 6 different studies, it's going to share 6 studies. You can create a link for sharing from that. So this is a highly powerful feature. And what it's actually doing, so everybody's aware, what it's really doing is it's taking this script and it's importing the script, okay, directly into your thinkorswim trading application. And it'll be there forever and ever and ever and ever. All right. So again, everybody will have a recording of the presentation. So we're good with that. All right. Now, if it came in a separate window, somebody was saying, well, you know, mine popped up in a separate box. What you can do, and I'll cancel out of here for a moment. What you can do if it opened up in a separate window is you can close that window because you've already saved the study as something you'll remember. Again, I call it the RSI, you know, I can't pronounce it anymore. But it's fantastic actually to do that. And, you know, this is actually saved. All the code is saved on the server side, so that if you have 6 different computers, you'll be able to access this off 6 different computers. It doesn't really matter, right? This study now belongs to you. And that's the one thing, like I keep advocating. One thing that just frustrates me, so at TheoTrade, literally every single day we get an email that says, do you have this indicator? Do you have this indicator? Do you have this indicator? And the truth is, I don't have every single one of the indicators. I don't. But between all of us, we do. Start sharing them. Start sharing all the indicators out there, because it's, for me, it's where I sit, it's wrong to build a business off of trying to sell the different indicators. There's one thing that I have insight to that many people probably don't, and I'm going to give you a little piece of that, and then we'll jump right back into how to actually use this. But when it comes to indicators, okay, and people are spending all this money and all this time on these indicators over here. When it comes down to it, if an indicator passes the statistical kind of sniff test, meaning this RSI indicator, all right, with its Laguerre polynomials, if it's good, it'll actually end up on the thinkorswim trading application, no matter what. They'll add it, okay? This one will be submitted, okay? It's going to take about 6 months, but it's going to be submitted to TD Ameritrade, to thinkorswim, and they'll take it. We're giving it to them, all right? Why? Because it's going to pass their statistical sniff test. And the problem is there are so many indicators out there that don't pass that test. Think about this. If something is good, this is a $20 billion company that builds the thinkorswim trading application. I'm sure if it's good, they'll buy it because it makes their clients that much more effective than clients at any other brokerage firm. And that's a good way to think of indicators. So we've got the indicator in the platform now, so let's start to discuss it. Okay, first of all, this volume here, we don't need no stinking volume. I'm actually going to take the volume off. I go under Equities, Show Volume Subgraph, hit Apply, hit OK. I'm also going to pull up, instead of a 1-minute chart, I'm going to pull up a 3-minute chart. Or, sorry, I apologize, a 3-month chart. Now, here's the indicator that we're going to be discussing again this evening, but I want to compare it for just a moment. We don't have to use Apple. There are a lot of questions that came up about Bank of America, so I'm going to use Bank of America. And I also want to pull up a standardized RSI. Okay, so we're going to pull up a standard RSI, and this is an RSI Wilders. Hit Apply, hit OK. Okay, forget about Laguerre indicator for the current moment. The RSI is, again, what is known, if you will, as a bounded oscillator. Okay, most often the default levels are 70-30 on a standardized RSI. And the standardized RSI, what does it really show? All right, here's a prime example, right in this neighborhood here. Overbought. Down here, oversold. Okay, so if you start zooming in to specific entities of the RSI, here's an oversold situation. Ironically, we rally. Okay, I'll zoom back out. Here's an overbought situation. That's right here, right now. Right? You can go back, for instance, for 3 years. Then you can just take a look at data. Look how oversold we were in the beginning of 2015. Of course, it bounces and then falls. All right. So the RSI is an extremely well-known. Okay. The history of it is well known. If you're curious about it, you can read a little bit about, Wells, Wilder, and the RSI kind of indicator. However, it has its pitfalls, as do many indicators out there. It is not meant to be a standalone indicator as well. But I thought that it would be effective, if you will, to display this, okay, on the forefront of this discussion here of indicators, like, hey, let's look at a standardized RSI and look at like overbought. All right, there haven't been too many situations here in the last 3 years where we've been oversold. How ironic that, again, right at the beginning of this year in February, in the depths of the market, we displayed oversold. Okay, so we'll stop there. Hopefully everybody gets a little bit of a feel for it. And again, it's a bounded oscillator. When you get above 70, it's considered, again, in the the extreme territory. It's completely overbought. Can be an indication of getting a little bit short, but what most people wait for is the indicator itself to kind of roll over. It rolls over, starts to threaten to come back through the 70, and that's when a lot of people hit the trigger, let's go for it. So on the flip side, something that's oversold obviously starts to peak back up, but the problem with the RSI is it's very often a day late and a dollar short. Okay, and as a standalone indicator, well, the RSI doesn't do it alone. You usually have to have an RSI, a stochastic, maybe throw like a momentum, which is like a MACD or something in there with it. That would be similar to like a Jeff Bierman type setup. All right, so let me pull the RSI off right now. Okay, so we're going to remove the RSI. It's gone, and we're going to actually look at the RSI Laguerre time. Now, there are two completely separate indicators built in here. What are the separate indicators? And again, there could be, we could do literally an entire class just about the one indicator. First of all, my mouse is on it right now, and I want you to see it. It's in a bit of a nosedive here, okay? This is fractal energy. It's a fractal energy indicator. Now, this, okay, takes a little bit more depth explanation. Here it is. If you looked, again, at just the fractal indicator, the way to think of it is the fractal indicator, we're far down here to the bottom, and that's today. I mean, this is not like a backed up chart. This is today. We're as far down to the bottom as we've possibly been. Typically, on the fractal energy indicator, for the most part, what it says is it's out of steam. That ultimately, the substantial move, whatever the move was, whether it was an up move or a down move in the particular underlying, that underlying is actually starting to run out of steam. Now, on the flip side, if you look at another extreme, and we're going to zoom into another extreme, and again, this fractal energy, I'll zoom back out for just a moment. We'll go to a 3-month chart over here. But this fractal energy, you can also see, all right, has boundaries. We're well below its boundaries right now. I'll zoom back just slightly in time over here. I want you to see the fractal energy right up here, okay, giving one of the highest recent readings. Again, what is the higher recent reading indicative of? So we talked about below the lower boundary, which is ultimately running out of steam, is probably the most effective way to think about it. Okay, to the upper boundary over here, what does it say? It says the stock is wound up and coiled and ready to actually make a more substantial move. Directional bias is not implied by the fractal energy. Okay, so fractal energy also uses something called like gamma. The gamma can actually be adjusted in here. If you guys are interested and you're hardcore into the code, I just want you to know that you can physically go into the code, and you can look not only at the code, right, and the gamma and where the gamma kind of sits, but you can also change this if you wanted to. So any of the indicators that we build, you know, I not only display the code, I urge you to tweak the code. So both the fractal energy and the RSI are plotted. RSI is in cyan. The fractal energy, of course, is in yellow. Look for the trend exhaustion in the fractal energy and a reversal of the RSI or price compression, okay, in the fractal energy and RSI reversal. I'm going to explain precisely what that means. Again, the indicators themselves, if you're looking at this and you don't like the yellow, you can right-click on that. You can edit the study, right? You can change the different color. If you want it to be, you know, cyan on cyan, go for it. You want this thing to be a variety of different colors, I mean, you can even open up a full color palette. So go to town. But again, I wanted you to see that you can also tweak some of the inputs on the study as well. So fractal energy, wound up, okay, ready, coiled, ready to spring. Down below, exhaustion. Okay, so let's think about that fractal energy for just a moment. You know, stock about to release some serious energy. It's about to make a major move. Stock is going to, what, die a horrible death in terms of its move. It doesn't, again, have anything to do with direction. Fractal energy is purely, okay, an exhaustion and or we're ready to move kind of indicator. I mean, a lot of people had asked me, they're like, is this a little bit like, you know, there's an indicator we have called the next generation like squeeze indicator, and we've actually found this to be far more effective than the next generation squeeze indicator. It's similar though in context, but again, the fractal energy does not provide directional bias. Okay, let's kind of continue on with that. Now, the RSI portion of this. Now, what this Laguerre polynomial does, okay, it doesn't look at time in a linear fashion. Now, we're talking like, you know, this is like literally space kind of science over here. The Laguerre polynomials is out there, and truly did originate in the space program. I can't even make that stuff up because I actually read the white papers on it. One of the white papers that was written on these polynomials was from a aeronautical engineer. So reading that one, let me tell you, if you ever have a problem sleeping, that is the paper for you. What it ultimately does is it makes, okay, the RSI much more efficient, okay, in reading price action. You have to recognize every single indicator out there, for the most part, they're based on the same thing. They're all based pretty much on the same thing. What are they based on? Price. Some of them are based on time. This one actually, the fractal energy has time, but it's a self-adjusting fractal energy. But, all right, the RSI that we're using here actually uses a polynomial that is not necessarily based on linear time, but they're all based on price action. Okay, the way that this works, up here you can see red, down below you can see green. What does it mean? Same as before. This is the overbought side, okay? This down here is oversold. Let me explain. Built into this particular code will be an alert. The alert, okay, will be triggered when the RSI drops out from this. It's at a level of 1 right now. When the RSI drops out from a level of 1 and goes down below 0.90, which is right here on the chart, when it goes below 0.90, it will trigger an alert. It'll say bing, okay? What that ultimately is, it's a trading signal. At that point, it should grab your attention and you should look, is that in confluence with the fractal energy? All right? Now, on the top side, we have what? Overbought. On the downside, we have oversold. So if you're looking at this, I want to make sure everybody's, you know, aware. On the top side here, you would be getting short. On the bottom over here, you'd be getting long. Listen, direction of the market is only a very small portion of the strategy. You have to be very efficient in how you place the strategy. So what have we actually seen? Right now on Bank of America, okay? On Bank of America right now, we have seen an exhaustive move from the level of 14, an explosive move to 1623, peaking out today. I mean, Bank of America took off by another 2% today. What we actually have is a situation where the fractal energy has been highly depleted. For the most part, the fractal energy is saying it has probably come to the end of its, okay, amazing run. It's running out of energy. The RSI has not yet triggered to get short. Okay, again, you have to see the RSI dropping off to the 0.9 level. It will then alert you. And when I say alert you, it will literally alert you. In fact, we'll go back to the code for a moment. One of the last things it says in the code, it says alert. RSI crosses below 0.9. Okay, it goes bing, see, sound bell. RSI crosses above 0.1. Bing, sound a bell. Kind of cool, right? It's all built in there. And again, it's designed to become a self-sustained trading system in there. Now, the reason that I'm actually bringing this to you is some of the gentlemen that I worked with. Tony Rago, okay, Jeff Bierman, Doc, have continually pointed out to me that this indicator happens to have confluence with what I look at. I am a statistical or quant geek. I look at things like called expected move. I noticed in Bank of America that it moved from what? In the last month. Just bear with me for a second because I want to give you both sides of this. Okay. I looked in the last month from low to high, it moved $2. That's a 1 month chart where it moved $2 in a month. Is that what I would term as a quant geek statistically significant? Absolutely. How do I know that? By looking at the chart. I don't. I look at the chart, I say it moved from 14 to 16. It's roughly, again, $2. I go to the trade tab. On the trade tab, I notice, okay, in a 1 month period, here's 31 days, the stock theoretically should only be moving $1. So it is 2 times its expected move. 2 times the expected move, okay, along with a couple of other pieces of criteria, fit everything that I would look for a bearish setup. Okay, again, what's been continually pointed out though on the last several setups that I've done, including one in Google, is that the RSI Laguerre time with fractal energy has been poised similarly. So if you're not necessarily like a quant geek like me looking at all of this, the reason I wanted to present this is, for the most part, it's another way for statistical significance of a vast move to the upside that apparently is running out of steam and an overbought situation. So I entered into, again, a short position. However, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to be very frank with you. I entered into the short position early. I did not wait for the signal to turn over there. That's my own kind of take on it. Now, am I going to pay for it? Maybe, because it ran up on me again today. But listen, this is trading. You know, again, there's always going to be people that, I'm right all the time looking at my indicators. I'm always right. I'll tell you one thing. I'm efficient in trading, okay? I make decisive decisions, all right? Meaning that I do not hesitate to pull the trigger on a trade, especially when I see, you know, the right conditions over there. And I put on a strategy that I can be early and still sustain the trade. In this particular case, I'm using a 31-day expiration. I am using an option position. I'll be able to sustain the trade. There is absolutely no stop order in this trade. I have 31 days, okay, for both my fractal energy and my RSI Laguerre to play out. And again, that is how I efficiently make a decision on a day-to-day basis. Now, is this applicable in multiple time frames? So initially, I started looking at it on a daily time frame. Okay. Now, I just showed you one quick setup over here. And again, you know, we're always limited on time. I showed you one quick setup over here. Now, there are a multitude of setups that, of course, you can use. Let me go out, zoom out again. If you're going to look at like for an entire year, here's exhaustion overbought. I'll just zoom into it. So this is an exhaustion, completely overbought. The moment it actually crested through the 90, what does it say? It enters into a short position. Okay, nice. The stock actually backed off from 15 to 14. Bank of America I actually found to be quite viable for this indicator, but I could pull up, roughly speaking, any underlying out there. You know, I've pulled up Google, I've pulled up, you know, again, on and on and on and on of the different indicators. The more recent Google trade that I did, I put a short position on Google. We emailed it out to everybody. We talked about it. You know, was again exhaustion in the fractal energy, displaying highly overbought. Okay, on the RSI. As soon as the RSI dipped, we executed the position. Stock came off. Now, this doesn't look like a vast move. It doesn't matter. It was more than enough for full profitability on our strategy. So again, the exact same area that I've been arriving at, a bunch of our market technicians have been arriving at using the RSI Laguerre time indicator with fractal energy. Okay, let's kind of continue on from here. Can you use it again on various time frames? So I'm using it on daily charts. Interestingly enough, we found it to be even more effective with S&P futures. And the S&P futures and NASDAQ futures was tested predominantly, and I'm actually going to show you, I'll just click to a one minute chart. This was tested predominantly by Tony Rago and myself. So Tony and I did most of the research here on intraday trade. Now I've taken this all the way down to intraday, 1 day, 1 minute. I do look, okay, at 1 minute time frames, and I look at 1 minute time frames because of volume. I do watch volume very, very carefully on a 1 minute time frame. What we did find though was 1 minute was intense for most. I mean, the signals were fast and furious. Okay, literally, if you leave it up here, look how many, if I left this indicator up here, like look how many different signals were being generated. And I was using it earlier today. You can actually see me using it towards the close. On a 1 day, 1 minute, it was constantly generating signal after signal after signal. So let's assume that you're not as hyperactive as I might be. I think that's a pretty good assumption. I'm not hyperactive. I'm well caffeinated, okay? There's a big difference. So here we are on a 5 minute. This is an intraday 5 minute chart, and again, I'll just zoom into a portion of the trading day here. Today it was brutal. It was fairly docile out there. Nevertheless, we generated a couple of different signals here. So right up here, we're coiled, all right? The fractal energy is actually displaying that we're about to make a decent sized move. The RSI drops out. Sure enough, the futures did actually make a fairly substantial down move. Okay, the exact opposite, of course, was true later in the day, although the signal came fairly late in this particular circumstance. But again, the RSI took back off to the upside. Markets rallied back throughout the course of the day. The 5 minute, I believe, is going to be one of the more effective time frames for many of you to use on a day-to-day basis. Now, I don't just use the RSI with the fractal energy as standalone. I also use, okay, the volatility futures to get a feel, bonds, okay. Again, I'm a little bit more of a quantitative trader out there, but I want you absolutely to know that this indicator is, for all intents and purposes, designed specifically for intraday trade. Okay, it happens to be extremely effective on a daily basis as well, but intraday, it's fine. Again, time is not a huge consideration because Laguerre polynomials kind of negate time. It's one of the design applications of it. Now, a few things, if you want to look at a great setup, I guess, for intraday charts as well. One I actually found is in Tesla. I was looking through this a little bit earlier. Some great intraday signals, though, being thrown off inside of Tesla. So you can take a look at it on your own. Now, there's a few other things that I want to cover tonight that you may or may not be aware of. But again, I want to keep this prompt to the point. We wanted to hand you an indicator. You know, indicators, you have to look into them. Like, you can't just start hopping on an indicator and be like, oh, I really like this, or I really hate it. You got to have love for an indicator. Like, if you want to make that thing work, you know, it's got to kind of be your baby a little bit. And I have to tell you, for the last 2 weeks since I've been testing this thing, it has been like day and night we're spending, you know, trying to come up with statistical data to be effective. In fact, if you even like were to Google the RSI Laguerre, you know, time, the only thing you're going to find is, of all the indicators tested, this one, I mean, is one of the most effective ones out there. Hence why we brought it to you. But we didn't take anybody's word for it. We've been testing the hell out of it ourselves. That's what's important, you know, is it passed kind of the sniff test out there. Now, a few additional things that I do want to show you outside of just setting up the indicators. One of the questions I get constantly is, what are and what is this bar on top of thinkorswim? So for those of you that are tuned in right now, a couple of quick items. Number one, if you're watching here tonight, you may or may not have a thinkorswim account. If, okay, you would like to access thinkorswim, you must open a TD Ameritrade account. The reason we're handing away these indicators, we want you to use our link. So we're going to place into the chat room, okay, a link. So we're going to place a link. What's it going to be? Okay, for the TD Ameritrade account openings. So if you, here we go, there it is. The link is now, of course, in the chat room there. So if you want to open up a TD Ameritrade account, we suggest you use our TheoTrade link. Again, that is how we finance, of course, the most of TheoTrade, and not only that, but again, we actually have somebody that is starting to build indicators and our own internal indicators over there. All right, So is there a way to download this indicator using a smartphone? You know, some of the indicators, some of the scripts work on phones, others do not. Most of them do work on the iPad application. Depends if it uses, you know, what it actually uses in the script. So one of the things I wanted to answer about thinkorswim, number one, I'm going to show you what this toolbar is on top. And number two, I'm going to show you one of the greatest ways to test indicators. Number three, I want you guys to know we're going to do a full thinkorswim demo tomorrow night. And the only reason I'm doing a demo, listen, I haven't done a thinkorswim demo in 18 months. I know the platform pretty much forwards and backwards. Again, I spent my entire life pretty much on it. But I'm going to do a demo tomorrow because we've had an inordinate number of people saying, Don, man, can you do a demo? I'm going to do a 90-minute demo tomorrow night. It's just going to be all hands on deck. I'm going to go off every feature I could possibly cover in 90 minutes, and I promise it'll be recorded because we're going to fire at you pretty good tomorrow during that thinkorswim demo. And again, it's just something that keeps coming up. You're like, well, I want to use the full features. Listen, 90% of the platform you may never use, but I'm going to show you the 10% of the thinkorswim platform that you should be using. And that 10% of the platform, yes, we'll even cover the Analyze tab, dun, 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 the most feared tab of the thinkorswim platform. Back over here to charts. Okay, so I want to show you, okay, number one, what this toolbar is, and then how to actually test indicators. This toolbar that you see, what it allows me to do is quickly different setups, okay? So here's, you know, setup, here's a 1-minute chart, here's actually a, oh, this one's cool. This one's kind of cool. So this is a another kind of like Mobius setup, and here's the RSI. So you can set up this toolbar yourself. And if you have multiple monitors or you have like a grid of charts, okay? If I open up an entire grid and type in like the spiders here, and what else do you want to put in there? We have Tesla and the spiders and the S&P futures. Then what do you want to put down here? Huh? Oh, the Facebook. If you set up your charts correctly, you can actually have all 4 quadrants populate immediately. So, see, made all 4 quadrants populate immediately in any way, shape, or form. That is what this feature is for. Now, let me show you how to turn the feature on, because I get this constantly, just nonstop. People are asking me about this particular feature. What it is, okay, to bring this toolbar up, you go right here to the sprocket, which is chart settings. Once you've gone to chart settings, just go right down here where it says My Tools. My Tools, click to On Each Chart. On each chart. Once you've clicked on each chart, hit apply, hit OK. Now you're set, okay? You're not going to see the toolbar. You're going to look at it and you go like, I don't have it. What's he talking about? I don't have it, right? So again, you went to the sprocket, turned on My Tools on each chart, hit apply, hit OK. You're not going to see anything. Drag your little mouse up there. It'll pop up. See, little mouse goes up, bar drops down. Then come over here, pin it. Yeah, I stuck the pin. Now what you're going to have to do is all these styles that you have, okay? Like when you're on thinkorswim, you can save styles, you can save studies, you can save anything you want. These styles, like I have all these styles. Look at this vol comparison. I got a skew line, all right? Tony's NQ spots. Ooh, of course I'm on Tesla, so the NQ spots are not going to work. What else do I have in here? I can load up all these different styles. Ooh, Jeff Bierman setup. Huh? MACD with prices, slow stochastic, RSI. We're having a party. So I can add any style, any drawing tool, any study, okay, to this toolbar. How do I do it? Here, blank the chart. Come right over here to the sprocket. Click the sprocket. Once you click the sprocket, once you click the sprocket, not a cog, but a sprocket, click over here to add buddy. You can put drawing tools on there. Huh? A little bit of Fibonacci, good for everybody. Drawing tools, Fibonacci retracements. I'm not a fib guy. Okay. Fib spirals, so I can put fib spirals. Watch. Done. So now I can go RSI projection, throw a fib spiral on there. Ooh, fib spirals, yeah. Anyway, all of this can become one-click functionality. Huh? There's your fib spiral. If that's going to help you find direction in the market, more power to you. Anyway, it's right there, that sprocket. Okay, and if fib spirals, again, I'm just poking fun at that, but you can delete the button, add a new button. You can add study sets. Okay, you can add different styles. Styles are like IV rank and percentile 1 year. Listen, when it comes to like different scripts and stuff, people, I got them all. And how many scripts I have on this platform? I probably have 70, no less than 70 different scripts in here. And I mean, this is IV percent, IV percentile rank, a true percentile, need to be on a 1 year daily chart. I got them all. You want them? Ooh, we got them. Okay. Now, last but definitely not least, somebody did actually ask a question in here, very, very viable. We put on projections on here. These are pivot projections. Okay. Totally self-explanatory. They're just providing a projection window of expected forward price movement based on pivot points, highs and lows. It's very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Okay. There are times when you're like, that is inordinately inaccurate. It's okay. I like it, and I wanted to provide, okay, more projection type studies, more guidance. So these are pivot projections. They are with the study. Okay. Again, they don't need much more explanation than if you look some of the recent highs, some of the recent lows, reactionary highs, reactionary lows, plotted forward as pivots. Okay, giving you a projection window of expected, okay, movement of, for example, Tesla out to the future. And again, it's just like if you were looking at like support and resistance over here, it's a quick, dirty way to actually give you like good support resistance kind of lines out there. All right. So, by the way, how do you set the pivots? They should be with the study. So they came with the study. If they're not populating, you may not be in an underlying that it was capable of producing effective pivots. It's possible. Once in a while, you'll see like one line come up. It's also possible. Now, with some more time, I'm going to answer a few questions here, obviously, tonight as well, because a lot of times with sessions like this, you get more questions than answers. Again, there's only so much time. Like, we could legitimately spend almost a week just talking about this one indicator, because fractal energy unto itself is like a complete and total science. But then you start to get into Laguerre polynomials. I'm telling you, I read the white paper on that thing. My head almost exploded. Non-linear polynomials, non-linear time function. All I could think of is every time I kept reading the paper, I'm like, it is the Twilight Zone. So how do you test indicators? I'm going to show you one of the ways. So how I test indicators might differ from you. How do I test indicators? I start firing trades. Okay, I've been doing this a long time. I have traded, okay, tens of thousands of option contracts on thinkorswim. I have traded millions and millions of shares of stock on thinkorswim. I have traded tens of thousands of futures contracts, both, okay, for myself and for the firm when we used to manage firm risk. Now, again, how I would probably function and manage with trades is a little bit different, given the fact that, hey, I'm all about, shoot now and ask questions later. In terms of trading, I will fire off trades just for explanation at time. There is a tool on thinkorswim. I told you there were 3 things I was going to cover here. Number 1, we're going to do a demo tomorrow. Number 2, I wanted to show you how to set up My Tools. This is the My Tools toolbar. And number 3, I wanted to show you how to actually test things. Now, this feature is highly sensitive and kind of not working correctly right now, but what you want to do is you want to click into On Demand. And what On Demand does, first of all, it throws off an error because it hates me. You're going to get a lot of errors on it. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it. I don't know, okay, but I'm going to hit go. And I want you to see what I'm going to do over here is I am pulling up kind of a fun trading day. What you guys are about to take a look at is the spiders. Okay, if you're not familiar with the spiders, it's a pretty well-known product out there, the spiders. But the day that you are about to witness is, and it takes a couple of minutes here to load. All right, I'm pulling a lot of bandwidth right now. What you're actually looking at, though, happens to be June 24th, which is when the S&Ps opened down about 70 handles. Oh, it was exciting. And if you really want to test indicators, I'm telling you, go into on demand and play back different trading days over there. You play back the day, and you can synthesize execution of these trades. Okay, synthesize execution of these trades based on whatever indicator you have. Pick a trading day that you do not remember and go back, especially for you that are intraday traders. And we're now replaying an entire trading day. Again, I don't suggest that you necessarily, trade something live for the first time, but what more effective way to figure out if an indicator is viable for you than to watch that indicator, okay, through the use of this. Like, remember, you don't even know what's going to happen here, okay? If you don't remember this particular trading day, you're not going to remember what's going to happen. Well, we may have gone down, and then I think we went up, but I can't remember. That's good, because here we're actually looking at a 1 day, 1 minute, and we're firing off signals, both overbought and oversold, and it's going to give you incredible depth to it. You can see the fractal energy right now is at exhaustion, okay, about to pick up to the upside, although we're not in overbought or oversold territory, okay. However, you can see the RSI now picking up to the upside, and this is ultimately how you can learn to be really effective on an intraday level. And that's, again, one of the things I try to do here at TheoTrade. We're not just trying to educate you, we're trying to educate you to be the most effective you can possibly be by giving you the right indicators and wrapping our education around specific tools. And that's why, I wanted to use thinkorswim for this presentation tonight to make it that much more, significant to you. Change the date. You come right up here to change the date. Click on the date. Click on any individual date and then just hit go. That's it. Hit go. And you can pick a day, any day will do, right? And when you're done and you've completely broken the tool, I go back to normal mode. So where are we right now? Well, the S&P futures, they're not exactly down 70, they're down 1, or what I term massively unchanged. They're massively unchanged. Again, even in the after hours, you still get signals generated by this indicator. Of course, in the after hours, we're not really moving around, we're sputtering right now, but I want you to see just that. There's also a fast forward button in there. It can play 3 times the speed over there. So, all right. By the way, Roger was asking, hey, 2 different sounds, one for up and one for down. So, Roger, yeah, you could technically program different sounds for different moves in the market. So instead of like a bell and like a ring, you could put that in there. Change the code, sir. Change the code. I implore you to change the code. That's why the code's open. Like, we're not locking down the code over here. Go click again on the beaker, double click in here, and not everybody can write code, but that's okay. But it says sound bell. Well, there's 20 other different sounds you can make in there too. You could technically even put in your own MP4. Hey, get long, right? That could be effective as well. So I'm trying to answer the questions the best I possibly can on here. So can you do one more example to show when you should be prepared to trade long or short using the indicator? So Duncan, for you, Duncan, anything over here. Okay. One of the more effective, I like a number of different examples, but one of the more effective ones I also was looking at, I was actually using this in the Russell. The Russell's a slightly more volatile product over here, and as such I actually found a lot of signals being thrown off inside specifically of the Russell. So taking a look specifically at the Russell, let's go back a little further, give you like a full year of signals in here. Now, case in point, okay, here is an oversold situation. All right, so I'm going to zoom in, and I just zoomed in a little bit. Here's the oversold situation. The fractal energy is right to the upper cusp, and it says, all right, we're about to release a little bit of energy over here. This, obviously, RSI crosses through the 0.10. It says get long, okay, fantastic. We hop into a long position, and this is, again, it's a daily. So this is where you can actually use something like in-out spreads, which we use a tremendous amount. Now, you can go back through example over example over example. Does every single example play out? Well, here's a situation that I want to show you. This is an exhaustion of a particular trend. Obviously, this is a huge downtrend, along with completely oversold indication. All of a sudden, it triggers long. Triggers long and exhaustion. Well, does the underlying move up? Yes, but an extremely mild amount. It drifts higher. That's why I'm going to tell you again and again, at TheoTrade, there are 3 principles we use. Okay? Strategy and trade logic is always first, allocation is second, and directional bias is third. No matter, I know that the focus tonight is specific to directional bias, but with the wrong strategy, okay, you will not be effective at using a lot of these different indicators out there. And again, this particular indicator, again, to me, it's ironic because it's picking up on the same statistical significance that I see by looking at things like expected move, where you have this enormous down move inside of the Russell, which becomes what we term statistically significant. You know, this moves 2.5 standard deviations, and yet the RSI and the fractal energy are both throwing off signals in an oversold. Okay, fantastic. If the RSI, Laguerre, makes it easier for you to interpret that, then we've done our job out there. And that's what's so critically important. Okay, by the way, somebody said, why do you do in-out spreads 30 days? Why not like 90 days? So 30 days out, you wouldn't want to go more than about 30 to 40 days out on an in-out spread because ultimately the short option in that spread won't decay. Critically important over there. In the in-out spreads class, again, we're not here to pump classes and so forth. If you guys do attend some of the classes, fantastic. If you don't, I get it. I mean, listen, we're here to hand you indicators. Again, tomorrow night I'm going to spend 90 minutes going over to the thinkorswim platform, and please join me, because I'll tell you, if anything, you could be the most experienced thinkorswim user. I promise you, I will show you at least 3 tools, the most experienced person, 3 tools that you're probably not familiar with, okay? Or I'll actually show you some of the logic of why certain things were built the way they were on thinkorswim, some of the pitfalls of it, okay? Some of the attributes of some of the tools on the platform. So what time tomorrow night? Same bat time. We're going to do 7 p.m. Central Time. The world operates on Central Time. Even though I'm on Pacific Time, the world right now operates for me on Central Time. So we will do that. And again, I want you guys to enjoy this indicator. I know, okay, that I didn't get to every single question. We have, 1,000 people plus on here, literally 1,000 people on our webcast tonight. And there's no possible way I could get to every single question in here. I hope that I did some of these indicators justice. Okay, I want to thank the individual that actually scripted this, a gentleman by the name of Mobius. It's his nickname in our chat room is Mobius, who actually scripted this particular study, brought it to our attention, quite a long time ago, and I've been fooling around with it, but the last 2 to 3 weeks we got pretty serious about it, and we said, you know what, okay, you guys want indicators? We're going to give you indicators. We're going to give you some of the most effective indicators that we can come across, and we'll continue to do that. If you have one that you think is just stellar, let us know. Let us know. Share it with everybody out there, because, well, that's what it's about. It's we're all retail clients these days. At least I think everybody in here is retail clients. We're all fighting the exact same battle out there in the markets. Again, we're here at TheoTrade to help you guys succeed as much as humanly possible in markets, all making decisions together, executing trades together. If you are curious and like the Bank of America trade, so you want to take a look at Bank of America, we traded quite a number of contracts in there. You can see 731 contracts of this spread traded today. 1,000 were already opened yesterday. So we're doing next to 2,000 contracts on this spread that we put on based on the indicator. We'll see in Bank of America if it plays out. Listen, we did the right trade based on the right signals and the right setup. At this point, it's up to the markets over there. All the probabilities, okay, we did everything we possibly could right. But even though a trade may have a 70% probability, there's still a 30% chance it doesn't necessarily work out. With that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Again, if you need to open up a thinkorswim account, okay, by all means, the link is found directly in the chat. Okay, it's again, TheoTrade.com/TD Ameritrade. Additionally, there is a link in the chat if you would like to attend the software demonstration tomorrow and you are not registered for it. It's, again, the link for that is in the chat. And please, if you ever have questions out there, by all means, contact us. We're going to be doing quite a number of these demonstrations week to week. So stay tuned. Much more to come here at TheoTrade. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I'll be back on 7 p.m. sharp tomorrow, 90 minutes, pure think or swim. We are going to unleash the beast upon you. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.